Great, thank you. Yeah, at MIT I felt we were data starved. If we're going to build AIs that are going to rule over us, then might as well have them read good books. So the idea is to try to get everything into digital form and make it so that this will sort of go in a good way. So universal access to all knowledge. I'm going to give this talk in compressed form to go and say, so where are we towards this sort of dream of the internet of everything, the Library of Alexandria for the digital age? How do we make it so that all the books, music, video, web pages, software, ever created by humans is available to anybody that wants to have access to it? Oh, and by the way, the machines as well to help sort of interpret and bounce the whole thing around. So what we're, this Internet Archive thing, it's really close, so please visit. We have open lunches on Fridays, please come by. The idea is to build a library within the sort of tradition of libraries, but newfangled. So we think of ourselves within this sort of arena. So I love what people carve in stone. They carved in stone above the Boston Public Library's door, free to all. And I think that's an important sort of characteristic of thinking about information very differently from commodities that make up most of our capitalist world. So if we're going to sort of go over sort of how we're going to do all these things, I'll just break it down as to sort of books, music, video, and pages, software, and sort of say how we're doing, and then what can you do with it, and how do you try to preserve it over time. Library of Congress is the largest book library by far. About 28 million books, 26 million books. A book is about a megabyte. 28 million megabytes is 28 terabytes. 28 terabytes is 4 hard drives you can buy at Best Buy for less than what you pay in rent for a month. So the idea of storing all of the words in the Library of Congress, images are cost more, but words is completely doable. So that's kind of neat. And what do you get? Well, you get books that we're starting to become more familiar with books on screens. You can print them back out again. There's a bookmobile. Print, download, print, and bind a book for about $1 a book for a small book. So you can go and print things back out again. We did a couple of them in India, a couple of them. This is in Alexandria, Egypt. This is in Uganda. So you can basically just print things back out again if you don't want to read things on screens. But I think screens are going to be the way that things go. So it's getting better and better. Screens are becoming more ubiquitous. And there are even screens with special purposes like this one, which is it talks to you. So it reads the book to you. That's mostly used for the blind and dyslexic. So we go and take all these books and have them used in very different ways for different people to make them more useful into more ways. So how do you get them there? Well, we started by using these book scanners. This is a guy in the Library of Alexandria in Egypt, really. He doesn't look too excited about it, but he's scanning away. And we built book scanners to get better at it. And then we had scanning centers, and we scan books at about 1,000 books every day. So we turn pages. It costs about 10 cents a page to do so. Google has done a whole lot more than we have, about 10x more than we have, as best we can tell. But if you're the Microsoft, we're the Linux. So we're kind of the open guys, and so we have a file of these scanning centers all over the world and doing these fantastic books. This is, for instance, from the Bancroft Library, Chinese characters, Korean text. This is from Beijing, China, and some of my favorites. So I've been going around trying to get the whole darn thing done. And there's copyright and institutions, they don't want to do anything, whatever, etc. And so I go and say, why don't we do all of everything in your language? I've been saying this to a few different folks, and so I went to the only first people that said yes were the Balinese. And so the Balinese said, yeah, let's just do everything ever written in Balinese. There are about 3 million Balinese, and it turns out they write palm leaves, and so these are folks who were working on the project, and there's awesome palm leaves, and there are all these scripts, and we said, okay, so how do people read them? And they said, well, the priests read them. And it's like, does anybody else know? Well, not really, not all that much, but sometimes they're rendered in other things than just reading them out loud at ceremonies. They're these shadow puppet plays are sort of how they're read, or their dances. So we started, these are the readings of the books. I have the best job ever. And so the first complete literature of people to go online is the Balinese. So I think we should just do it. Move forward into the digital world, unlike the English speakers. So what do we do? We have these scanning centers all over the world, and we're sort of grinding along, and people pay 10 cents a page, and it makes up about 1/3 of our income to go and do this and cover the cost of labor for going and building all these scanners and putting this stuff out, and then we make it available. Then there's questions sort of what do you get out of that? Well, you get a lot of free ebooks if they're out of copyright, and then there's a lot of books for the blind and dyslexic, and you can. And we've gone to digitize books and lent them if they're in copyright. So how do you deal with the in copyright problem? So if we just go and digitize Harry Potter and put it out to everybody, then they'll get mad at you. So the idea is to try to make it so that only one person at a time can read a digital version of the physical book. So physical book, digital book, one, and then since you can lend one for the physical books, one the electronic copy for those, and as long as you control distribution, it seems to work. And so we have this site called Open Library, and Mech here has been working on this project to make it even better and better. We get a bunch of visitors a day going and looking at the books. And you can borrow a book. So let's say you wanted to borrow this particular book. We actually bought this book, but it's checked out. Sorry, so you have to go and put it on your wait list. But if you take a less popular book, like the Mayflower Ancestors, and you send it from the Boston Public Library, okay, not the most popular book, it is available to borrow, and you can get it in different book readers or exploding PDFs. Here's the book reader, and you can see that it's from the Boston Public Library, and you can flip through it and use it for 2 weeks, and then it's automatically returned without any fees. Or you can hit the return button, and then somebody else can use it. So the idea is to borrow books as a mechanism to deal with the copyright issue. And we're semi-finalists in this MacArthur $100 million challenge that we hopefully win. We'll see. To have $100 million to go and solve a big problem. So we thought, why don't we not just go and take our library and make it digital and make it available? Why don't we do it for all libraries by going and digitizing all the books and making it so that if you have a physical copy of a book, then you can lend one copy to your patrons. So different copies of the same book, so there are multiple copies of the same book, but they're basically backed by the other hard copies that are in other libraries. So that's our idea. So fingers crossed on that. So, music. So what if you wanted to do all music? Well, the nice thing about that is it's only been recorded for the last 150 years, so there's not as much of it. So we started with things that we could do without getting sued back in the era of Napster, of people that do tape trading. We started by the Grateful Dead, allowed people to go and record concerts and then tape trade, as long as nobody made any money. Key, nobody made any money. And that was the thing that they sort of stipulated, and lots of bands copied this. And so we now have 6,000 bands and 130,000 concerts that people have been uploading all this time. And we try to get some level of okay from the bands, could be the drummer. It's the sort of thing that makes the players really nervous. But it's like, somebody from the community said it was okay, and so somebody comes and says, why do you have that up? It's like, Bob said so. And so it's, they said, oh yeah, Bob, okay. And then so, well, we still want to take it down, or it's okay to have it up. And so it's been growing along. And we have everything the Grateful Dead's ever done. We also put a lot of the things that have been on the internet back up on the internet. So Iuma, which is one of the early sort of mp3.com things, we have mp3.com too. And the idea is to go and keep things perpetually available, and if anybody gets upset, we take it down, but they aren't upset, they're actually quite happy. So the idea is to go and make more of these sorts of things available. And one of the nice things about, I think the reason why we're able to do all this and do this without getting sued is we don't have to make any money on this. We don't have Tesla parked outside. It's where we're respectful and we're not basically taking advantage of people. And if they want to take it down, we just take it down. Net labels is sort of internet era labels, because mostly the labels went under, but they wanted free hosting because it shouldn't cost you to give something away. Right? In the United States, giving something away, you get a pat on the back and a tax donation. Except on the internet, you give something away, you can go broke because of the bandwidth bills, and it just sort of piles up. Or you have to go and hand it over to something like YouTube, and then they do whatever they're doing, or Facebook or whatever kind of platform, which is going to sort of take over your stuff for you. So the idea is to try to make it so that you could go and make things available sort of on your own terms, and so we offer this sort of free hosting. We're starting to work with real music labels. and starting to do things like LPs and CDs at scale. And we're starting to get donations of things like 78s. And later this week, we're going to be announcing 78 RPM records going up online at mass scale, which are really wacko fun. 78 RPM records, yodeling was really important in the 1930s and 40s. Whistling, accordions, ukuleles, hillbilly music, didn't call it country music back then. Anyway, so we've been getting these donations of 78 RPM records. And people have been donating along, and it's been completely fun. So we're getting better with volunteers, starts doing a lot of the digitization and also doing mass digitization. And we'll be doing LPs last, so we're doing sort of web era, then 78s, CDs, and then LPs. The idea, this is a heart-crushing tale for me. Daniel Ellis is probably the best computer science music researcher there is. He's just an amazing guy, tenure track. Columbia University, and to do his work, he needs complete collections. And so you'd think you would go to the library, right, to go and get these collections. Well, the libraries don't have these because they're scared of copyright. So he left Columbia University to go to Google because they had the data. This is crazy. So we basically have to build up our library system to actually have copyrighted materials. All libraries are full of copyrighted materials, and the libraries are going to define themselves as just being the out of copyright stuff. We are toast. So we have to basically go and build up our library system to be a good library system that not only have the copyrighted materials, but also have the compute resources so that you keep awesome people like this working in the public sphere rather than thinking they have to go to a private company. So digitizing audio from records, there's probably 2 to 3 million of the 78s. How many LPs? I'm not exactly sure. One person estimated 2 to 3 million. It costs $10 to $20 each to go and digitize these. It's just not that much money. So the idea of doing all of it is actually not that hard. So it's a lot of money, but it's not that much money. And so we have to go and pour ourselves at this to go and put audio online. We now have about 2 million objects online, about 5,000 collections of all sorts of fun things already hosted on archive.org. How many people have used archive.org? Not enough. Okay, so your homework is you have to go and use archive.org and try listening to something or find something that's kind of wacko or fun out there. Okay, moving images. Books, music, moving images. Most people think of moving images as theatrical, Hollywood type things. We have some of those, but not very many. We mostly have wacko old like educational films and home movies. And I highly recommend them, and lots of people love them. They're completely weird. This is Are You Ready for Marriage? And also then we also offered free uploading, and YouTube basically is taking that over, but we still get people going and using us for some fun things. We're getting better at film digitization, VHS digitization. Volunteers are helping out in a lot of this type of thing, and we're trying to lend to television. So we've been recording television since the year 2000. 24 hours a day, Russian, Chinese, Japanese, Iraqi, Al Jazeera, BBC, CNN, and Fox. 24 hours a day, DVD quality, 61 channels, 25 countries. There's probably much more to do, but at least it's a bunch. As best we can tell, it's the largest outside of, say, the intelligence agencies, and the idea is to make it available so you can borrow it. And so how do you do that? Well, we take just the US television news and make it so you can search on what people said and be able to go and pull quotes. And then we want everybody to be able to pull quotes, to be able to be a Jon Stewart research department. So they can go and say, you said this once, and then you said this, and put them together and be able to think critically by being able to compare and contrast television news. If you don't think critically about television news, they'll just be able to make things up and get away with it. And they're just making things up and getting away with it. So the idea is to try to do this, and so we built a television news thing so you can search and find lots of different clips over time to be able to go and pull things in and be able to find your way through it. If you want the whole thing, then we print it onto a DVD, send it to you, and you have to send it back after 30 days. Why? Try to keep people from suing us. And so far, so good. So it's all this about 1 million hours of US television news is available searchably on the Internet Archive. So we're getting a little bit better at digitizing these materials. I'm sorry I'm talking so fast, but it's about 40 minutes talking, about 20 minutes, so I'm going to continue going as fast. Moving images, we have lots of different collections. Please try them out and download them, reuse them, do some fun things with them, or upload things. Just take your old stuff. Take your old movies, take your old stuff, and put them up. We get these fun letters sometimes from the FBI that want information about patrons of what the Internet Archive is doing. They want to know what people are reading. And there's a long history in libraries of people being rounded up for what it is they've read and bad things happening to. And we're pretty good at saying no to them, but you have to do it by suing the United States government. So we sued the United States government, and we won. So the idea is to be able to go and say, screw you to those that want to know what's going on. And we can do that because we're a library, but Google and Amazon and those guys will just hand it over to the feds if they need to know. So software titles really requires emulation, because you can't just sort of sit there and stare at the bits or the packages. And we're getting better at that. To go into, you can play old games and things online by launching old versions of the platforms in JavaScript in your browser, which is kind of surreal, but it works. So we're probably best known for crawling the World Wide Web. We take a snapshot of the web every 2 months, and we have for the last 20 years. And we now have 1,000 librarians that are helping go and pick and make sure that we have really good subject-based collections. It's now up to 289 billion web pages. That gets used by about 600,000 people every day. This is what Yahoo looked like back in the old days. Pets.com, a little sock puppet thing. Pinterest, Pinterest gets better, you know. Oh, and then there's more reason than just fun and games. This is an old press release from the White House. President Bush announced combat operations have ended, and then a couple months later changes it to go into major combat operations. And then actually he took it offline completely. I'm not quite sure which is worse, to go and change the past or delete the past, but anyway, they're all doing it. So we have a web archiving tool that lots of people go and use to kind of and help archive the web together. And we've done things like in the Japanese disasters. There are things that are used to be online now, not used to be online now. So the idea is to make permanent what is really the most ephemeral medium that we've ever created, even though it's called pages. It really doesn't last that long, about 100 days between time that things are either changed or deleted. So we have lots of different collections, rare books and letters. It's basically photographing them and putting them online. Please do, or we'll do them for you, and we'll pay cost basically what it costs to do the labor. Next up is digital personal archives. We're basically entrusting these companies with our memories, which doesn't make any sense, but we've done it. And so how do we go and work with that? So it's possible to collect everything. It's even possible to go and make it available. But then how do you go and not be the Library of Alexandria version 2, which takes over the version 1, which burned, right? So how do you go and not do that? So we thought, how do you go and preserve both the physical and the digital? We're trying to get better at that. This is a copy of the new Library of Alexandria. We donated a copy, so we want to have multiple copies in different regimes that are on different curves of, well, basically what happens to libraries. And this is the partial copy that's in Amsterdam, and what it looked like in San Francisco 2008, 2009. This is what the Wayback Machine looked like. It sat outside, which is kind of cool. And this is what it looks like if you were to come over. And in 2012, we had 10 petabytes. I love that number. It's just such a large number. And we're getting better at physical archives. We have 1.1 million books because libraries have been throwing things away. So we wanted to go and make it so that things are permanently stored. So we filled up a warehouse in Richmond, so we bought another one. So the idea is to go and try to collect one physical copy because libraries have been throwing things away. Since Trump was elected, we went into some strategic planning to try to figure out what we should do. We thought, well, let's get a copy out of here. So we're trying to figure out how to make a copy in Canada, and that's ongoing. The idea is to decentralize the web. So right now the web, if you stand in one place where you bring down one piece of hardware, you can take down a website. That doesn't make any sense. Basically, this stuff is too important to just live in one physical location. So the idea is to try to decentralize the web. It's another idea that we're trying to work towards. We should protect our users ourselves by increasing our OPSEC. You should just always be doing end-to-end encryption. Just make end-to-end encryption normal. So it's not that it'll be pointed out when somebody is encrypting something, it's just the way that it works. So stop using SMS, your phone, Skype, email. All of those are compromised, we know, because of Snowden. So what else can you do? Well, you can use Signal, you can use Appear.in, you can use Zoom.us. There are other systems that you can use to do encrypted communications and make that work and not be ridiculous about it. So the last is we figure we should be a better library. The idea of being post-truth or facts is, I find, personally offensive and personally a failure, that we're not allowing people to find what it is, the information that's reliable, through their search engines, because they're holed up in our libraries, they're put behind paywalls and expensive institutions, and they can't get at it. So they're just babbling whatever it is crap that they can get a hold of, and it's often not very good. So we've got to lean forward, get over it, and get the stuff online, and make the best we have to offer within reach of everybody that wants to have access to it. Otherwise, we'll end up with a generation being brought up in whatever powers that be want people to have access to. So, and we need new ideas from here. The Internet Archive is a local institution. Please use us. Please contribute in some way. Your ideas come and help out in some fun way. Universal access to all knowledge. I think it could be up there with one of the great achievements of human time. I think it could be like the Library of Alexandria or the Man on the Moon. I think that's what it is we've been doing. Lastly, for carved in stone, the guy Andrew Carnegie in Pittsburgh carved above the door of his temple, free to the people. Thank you very much.